The number one business skill you need to be successful is sales.
But in order to sell, you need confidence.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Edgy Entrepreneur Podcast. If it is your first time here, we're so glad you decided to join us today. And if you are returning, welcome back. As always, we strictly believe that if you're not working on your mindset, you are leaving 80% of your business potential on the table. I am one of your hosts. I am Daniel Tribby. I am a healthcare entrepreneur coach, and I am alongside the lovely...
I am Coach Oriana Guevara. I'm a personal performance coach and certified relationship coach.
Yay. All right, let's get to it. So today, a fun topic. This is one of my most favorite business skills, and I love that we're going to cross-reference this with a personal mastery skill because these two things work really, really well together. And those two things are sales as the business skill and confidence as the personal mastery skill.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I hope that people will get out of this really a clear understanding of how mindset is actually critical to successful implementation of business skills, right? Because you could have all the tools in your toolbox, but if you don't know when to use them, how to use them, why you would use them, why they matter, right? Then you got a toolbox full of tools that you don't know how to use effectively.
Absolutely. And I firmly believe that sales is the number one skill for any business owner.
Completely agree. Yeah. Otherwise, you're in a hobby.
That's it. Yeah. Exactly. And sales is really, really important because if you're not selling yourself, your product, your service, who's going to? Right? Nobody's going to, exactly. So you've got to be sold on what you do. You've got to be able to sell what it is that you have to offer and do so in a way that inspires people to do business with you, right? So I think we need to clarify, like a lot of people are listening like, oh, marketing, sales. And there's a lot of interweaving between those two. So let's clarify what the difference is between marketing and sales so that people really, really understand. So what is, in your personal thought process, what's the difference between sales and marketing?
Yeah. So in my mind, the difference is simple, right? And so getting them confused is kind of like, why does that happen? Marketing is opening a funnel to the thing that you want to sell, right? It gets people to drop into a process, a journey, if you will. Many people call it that, with you as a business owner or as a service provider until they get into the enrollment phase of the process, which is the sale, right? The sale is the thing that's actually an exchange, service for service, or service for value exchange. So that could be money or that could be something else, but that's where the value exchange occurs. That's in the sales process.
Yep, absolutely. So said quite simply, marketing gets them in the door, sales convinces them to buy.
Yeah, and so you have to have something to sell.
Right, which is why as a healthcare individual, I get super frustrated with all the people that are in my inbox every day that are like, hey, wouldn't it be great to have 30 extra leads to your business every month? 30 qualified leads, guaranteed. And it drives me nuts because, yes, it's nice to have those leads. The problem is if you don't fix the sales process, the leads mean nothing. So sales becomes a super important thing. If I have 65 people beating down my door every single day, but I have no idea how to talk to them confidently in the way that I deliver my service and why it is that they should choose me to give them my service or my product, then those leads mean absolutely jack shit, right? So we have to fix the sales process. We have to be confident in our sales. And when we talk about confidence, what actually is confidence?
Confidence is this, I think for most people, it's a feeling, right? They would describe it as a feeling within themselves, and they describe it as something that they either have or don't have. Right? I don't have confidence around this area, or I don't feel confident doing this thing or going to this place. But it's really, confidence is your belief about your abilities to accomplish a certain thing and whether or not you see yourself as being competent and qualified enough to actually accomplish that thing. Like it's how you see you. right? And your ability to kind of like reach the goal, right? Be successful at something. So if you don't actually see yourself being able to do that, for one, that's going to impact your ability to attempt, because you're going to create all kinds of resistance within yourself, which is the feeling that people call low confidence or no confidence, right? Or if you are, if you do see yourself being able to reach the goal, right, then you'll be actually more willing, more inclined, more enthusiastic, if you will, right, about coming to the table to attempt whatever it is that you want to do, right? And that might be a sales enrollment conversation within the context of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too that a lot of people, they'll say, oh, I'm just not a confident person. And to them, I say, well, is it not that you're not a confident person, or is it that you just don't have confidence in this particular thing that you're doing, right? Do I not have confidence in my sales, or confidence in my marketing, or confidence that I can hold a great relationship? Like, what are those things that I'm not confident in, and how do we get super specific? So for this conversation, let's get into the sales confidence thing. So we're going to give you guys some steps on how you can improve your sales skills by improving your confidence around what you do. And so I think the first step, right, is identifying who our product is for, right? Isn't this kind of like the conversation we had initially, is like, how do we identify and being sure that we're confident in who our product or who our service is for?
Sure. I mean, I would say intertwined very closely with that is understanding and knowing what problem does your product solve, right? First, right? Like, this is in your discovery of becoming a small business owner or service provider, which are typically the kinds of people that I work with. Typically, you would be going out into the world, you would be recognizing that a problem exists, or that there's something missing that's creating a pain point for people, right? And then you create a product or a service that resolves or closes the pain point for them, right? And so most people actually do this backwards, is they create the service or the product, and then they're like, hey, who wants to buy this? Right? Anybody want to buy this? Right? Like the ice cream truck.
The anybody, everybody kind of issue.
Right. And, driving up and down the streets with the music on to see if anybody comes out of their house to buy from you. You are putting yourself in a really difficult position, right? Whereas if you kind of go back and start in a different place, right? What problem exists that I have the skill set to solve? Then who has that problem? Then where do I find those people? How do I talk to those people, right? Which is where I start to get into the place of like, the only way that you would ever know how to talk to those people, if you've experienced that pain or that problem, you're close, but you're not there, right? Don't think that because you've had that pain or that problem, you know exactly how this feels for everybody out there. Nope. Right. So
you can have empathy.
You could have empathy, right? You have your lived experience, which could be similar to theirs, but it's not going to be exact, right? So the next thing that you have to do is, outside of finding those people, identifying them, find them, is go talk to them about that problem and what that problem feels like, so that you can understand the vocabulary that they use to describe the problem and to describe those pain points, right? And then you start really getting closer and closer and refining the solution that you offer.
Absolutely. And I think to pull together everything you just said, sales is service. Right? A lot of people think that sales is cheesy, or it feels unethical to me to try to sell something, right? I feel grimy. Like I just feel like a cheap salesperson when I do that. And I hate to break this to you. You're either selling something or you're being sold to. That is just the way of life. And it's actually a great...
At all times.
It's a great book by Grant Cardone too. You sell or be sold to. But everybody's selling you something at some point or another, right? Your kids are trying to sell you on staying out 15 minutes past the time you told them to come home, right? Well, I need to do this, I need to do that. Some guy's trying to sell you a brand new computer or a brand new car. We enter this every single day. But if you're going to sell and sell successfully, you have to base your sales or your sale pitch on being service-minded, right? You said you got to find out what is the problem that you solve. And how is it that you're solving it? And so I'll use this example. All of you have probably have been to a car dealership and you want to buy a new car, and you have two types of salespeople. The first one comes up to you and says, hey, you in the market for a new car today? And you say, yeah, actually I am. I said, well, great. Well, come check this one out. It's got all the gadgets, bells, whistles, dings, dongs, all the things that are amazing about this new car, this brand new chip. It goes 0 to 60 in, and it does blah, blah, blah. It transforms, whatever it may be, right? To go through this whole situation. Then you're left going, but that's not what I'm here for. Right? Versus the actual service-minded person who says, okay, great, I'm glad you're here for a new car. Tell me, what are the top 3 things that are important to you in this car? And you go, oh, well, I have 3 kids, so I want to make sure that they're safe, right? I want to make sure I have the room for them and all their shit because they play hockey or soccer or whatever, but I also don't want to look like a dorky dad driving around in like a wood-paneled minivan, right? So there's a certain amount of each one of those things that as a salesperson you have to satisfy. And it does you no good to talk to the person about all the bells and whistles that they don't give a shit about.
Yeah, they're not even listening at that point, and they don't feel, I think more importantly, they don't feel seen, heard, or understood, which is what everybody wants in every communication, you know? And so they're standing there going, what are you talking about, right? Get out of my face. Mm-hmm. Who else can I talk to, right?
And if you've taken the time to listen to what this person actually wants and desires, and you know that you have a solution for it, you're then talking to them, again, in a service-minded way, but you also have to exhibit some competence. There is this confidence loop, right, that you have to have. So tell us about competence. What is competence and how does it equal confidence? How do those two entwine together?
So I think it's really important to understand, again, going back to confidence, we talked about what it is. When we really want to get into the nitty-gritty of like, well, how do I become more confident, right? And everybody's like, well, help me become more confident, Now, I hear that a lot as a coach. And it's like, I can help you become more confident, but you have to be willing to do the things, right? Like you don't become confident and then go do things that stretch you. Yeah. You first do things that stretch you, and then the confidence comes as it's an outcome or a result. It's the feeling that gets produced in your body energetically when you did the thing that you were afraid of doing anyway, right? And whether you got a slam dunk or not, you did it. Like you attempted.
It's reps, baby. It's reps.
Like you made that call, you made that sales call, like you played, out the game, like whatever it is that you needed to do. You talked to the girl or you talked to the guy, like you attempted. The attempt supports your ability to gain confidence, right? So can I help you become confident? Yeah, if you are willing to stretch yourself into some uncomfortable situations and opportunities and step into those things, yes, but you won't get the confidence before you actually do it. So that's where the competence comes in, right? And then it's like, well, because it feels like this kind of chicken and egg, right? Like I want to do the thing so that I can get the confidence, but I don't have the confidence to do the thing, right? And so what is the best way for you to kind of step out of that loop, right? It's grow your competence, right? Become an expert, become the person that knows the most out of everyone you know about the thing that you want to sell, about the topic, about the client's pain points, about how they talk about it, about how you serve people. Like become extraordinarily competent and intelligent and well-versed in what it is that you do, why you do it, who you do it for, and why it matters, right? Essentially like, this is why I care, and this is why you should care too. That conversation, right? Like that's like that little mini spiel, right? It's not a pitch, it's not a sales pitch, right? Because it's authentic, and I'm not selling anything about it. It's essentially, it's this is who I am. This is what I do. This is why I do it. This is who I do it for. This is how I do it for them, right? Those like 5 or 6 things right there increase your competence and your confidence. Exactly. At least enough to then get into the conversations with people because you know what you're talking about and you're not going to be stumbling over yourself, right? Your words. You're not going to be stumbling energetically with a person. So I think that's super important. The other thing that I would say to increase your competence is you really have to do the work on yourself. You have to do the work on really coming to terms on whether or not you believe in yourself and you can actually see yourself in the persona of a person that provides this service or sells this thing, right? Rather than believing yourself as an imposter because people will feel that. And you have to check your limiting beliefs about what it is that you're offering and why you're the one offering it. So essentially all those categories that I gave earlier, check your belief system in all of those areas.
It's so good too, because I think a lot of people have this idea that once I have, then I can become. And that's just not how it works, right? It's I have to become, and then I will have. And so you have to figure out who it is that you need to become before you can have the confidence that you need to have in order to deliver a sales pitch, if you will, that converts, right? And that competence thing is so huge on that, right? Am I a steward of my own craft? Am I teaching myself on a regular basis, right? Just because you and I are coaches doesn't mean I have every answer. No, I have to go find said answers, right? I need to be able to be a student of my own shit first before I have any right to teach or sell or show anybody else about it, right? In other words, I said this earlier, you have to be sold on what it is that you do, or you have to hire people and be able to sell them on what it is you offer so that they are also sold. Because if you're not sold on what you do and the people you work for aren't sold on what you do, guess what? That shit is easily sniffed out. Nobody is going to buy shit from you because they don't feel that your confidence in the product or service is coming through in the way you're speaking to them.
Well, not only are clients or potential clients or customers not going to buy from you, but the people that you lead or on your team, right? If you as a leader aren't completely convinced and sold on like the product that you're offering or the service that you're offering, why you do it, why you're the best, the world-class team at providing that, right? Like your team is going to know that you don't even believe in the product. How enthusiastic are they going to be or feel, or what's their belief system going to look like or be like when they interact with prospects and clients, right? That's going to show up everywhere energetically, right? And so what I tell people is, and we believe in doing the mindset work, right? That's why we say it's 80% of your success in business, because again, this stuff shows up in your mindset when you are interacting with prospects and clients. So if I show up in a limiting belief system in a sales and enrollment conversation, right? And I have my limiting beliefs either about the product that I'm providing, right? The service, right? My ability to provide the service successfully and get the person
and with value.
With value, right? If I have limiting beliefs around either one of those things, the quality of what I'm offering, why I'm offering it, why I'm the best person to offer it, it's going to show up in the sales enrollment conversation with your prospect, right? And so when they get into their limiting beliefs, which is essentially the point in time in the conversation where they start showing up with objections, right? At that point in time, instead of you being able to hold space for their objections and just be with it and just listen to what it is that they're saying and what's coming up for them, like, oh man, I'm not ready. I can't do this. This is right. Like they're in their limitations, right? They're in their pain. You sought out to solve the problem that causes their pain. So don't be surprised when they show up on the sales enrollment call in that pain. But if you buy into the where they're at with the pain, right? If you're like, yeah, you're right, you're probably not going to be able to save your marriage. Yeah. I know it must be really hard. Yeah. If you show up like that, like some people think they're being empathetic, right? But you're essentially buying into their limiting belief system. And the only reason you would ever do that is because that limiting belief is in you. And they're triggering that in you. And now we're just going to empathize over how hard this is and how painful this is, right? Whereas if I can just hold space for you to be in your pain and be like, yeah, that does sound hard. And also, you know what? I do believe in you, and I do believe in your marriage, and I do believe that you can save your relationship. I do believe you can save your business. You know why I think that you're struggling right now? Because you don't have the right tools and skills. With the right communication tools and skills, you can learn to be a better leader. You can learn to be a better spouse or partner, right? And so you can show up powerfully as a salesperson, as a coach, as a leader, in whatever role it is that you're in, right? You might be selling tech companies, whatever it is that you're doing, right? Your client or prospect is going to show up with limitations and objections. If you buy into it, your conversation is sunk.
Yeah. And you mentioned objections, right? Because that's usually the spot where people stumble when it comes to sales, right? And there are 3 key objections, or 3 top objections that happen usually.
I think there's 4. There was another one that came up in our Clubhouse talk, right?
There?
Yeah.
Was there a 4th one?
Not ready.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll get into all of them. Yeah.
So, but I think that in those objections, what you find yourself is diving into your own limiting beliefs about not being able to handle that objection, right? If somebody says, well, I don't have the money, you immediately go, oh, well, I mean, there was a time when I didn't have it either, right? So let's talk about those top objections and what are the best ways to handle those, right? So that people can, and this is reps. You got to have practice with somebody just pounding you with objections before you're going to have the confidence in responding to them. So our top 3, and then we'll throw this 4th one in here since I got conned into that. But our top 3 are time, money, and third-party authority. All right, so let's address this. I feel like the time one seems to be the one that is kind of how do I do that? How do I talk about time? So let's talk about time. The objection of time. How do you handle that? What's the best way?
Well, I mean, you're the sales expert, but
that's why I want to hear what you have to say.
The way that I handle it, I think there's when people are in a time objection, I don't have time for that. Right. And also, but you made time for this enrollment conversation. Right. So there's something inside of you and within you that knows that you need the extra support. Right. So what you're really trying to do is get at, are they using the time objection as an excuse because they don't like you or your product or service, or are they legitimately in a limiting belief about time? Right. And so it could go one of 2 ways, but for the most part, people who have limiting beliefs about time don't believe that they actually have creative power over how they use their time. Their belief system revolves around this external entity that just happens to be called time and just happens to be depicted on the face of a clock. And that entity controls how they operate, versus them controlling time by making time for what is important to them, what is a priority. And so you start asking them questions like, who controls your time? Where does your time come from? Do you make time? Have you ever made time for things that are important to you? How do you handle that? How do you make time for anything else in your life that's important to you?
And then people usually get flustered too because you're challenging their thought process.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, if you're talking to somebody who's really entrenched in the belief system that time is an external entity, that's going to create resistance in them, right? But if you can if you can challenge them powerfully, but with compassion and love, which is where I believe we should always come from in these conversations, right? Especially when somebody's genuinely in their limitation of their belief, right? Like, this is their belief system. This is how they operate in every part of their life, right? So, coming at it with any kind of energy, like, that's like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous, or that's nonsense, or that's dumb, or like, why do you believe that? Like, that's going to require a person to put their wall up, right? We're talking about potentially changing a person's belief system and making a breakthrough. Right. So like with compassion and energy, but also with like powerful assertion, right? You have to show up in this space that challenges their belief system about what time actually is and who creates time in their life, and help them to be able to see that they actually do make time, right? Because they make time to eat, to shower, to go to work, to see their family, and for probably many other things, right? Yeah. They make time for what matters. And if you present them with that reality, most people are like, oh, yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. I do make time for what matters to me. And that's when you can be like, hell yeah, you do. How about this? Does this matter to you?
Yeah. And I believe too that time, if you can talk to somebody about how your product or service can create more time for them, If that's their objection, so usually the thing I turn on is, oh, well, I just don't have, especially healthcare. Oh my God, these guys. Oh, I'm treating, 40 hours a week, and then I got a business to run, and I'm doing this thing and that thing. Then I got a family, and I got kids, and I got baseball practice, and I just don't have time to do what it is that you're telling me to do. And I turn around and say, okay, but how much longer are you willing to live like that? Because if I have a solution that helps create more time for the things that you enjoy because you've now gotten better at running your business, wouldn't that be something that you would want to take part in? I think it would be, right? If it was me, and I get it, I own a practice too. I know you're busy doing this, you're busy doing that. I can empathize with everything that you're going through. But this is a 5-step process that helped me create more time. And I would love to show you how to do it. My life used to look like this. Now it looks like this because I did these 5 things.
Absolutely. You help them understand how your product actually helps them live the life that they want, get closer to their value system, not further away. And this is like the crux of scaling a business that a lot of people run into. So if you're selling that type of service, which we are, right? So people run into this place where it's like, well, I'm so full in my business, and now I've created this situation where it's really stressful, it's really frustrating, I can't be everywhere at once. Okay, well, it's time to build in automations. Oh no, wait, technology. Oh no, wait, that's too expensive. Oh, that costs this much, that costs that much, right? Yes, and building in automations into your business and growing your team are the only ways to scale, because you cannot replicate like yourself. You can't have more hours in the day, right? Like I can't logistically give you more hours on a clock, but I can give you tools.
Right. I can help your productivity level.
Right. To help your productivity so you can get more done in less time.
Yeah, exactly. And in everybody's mind, time equals money, right? Time equals money. Time is money. Time is money. And so I say, okay, well, you said you're not ready, but in 3 months you might be able to. You're still giving me the time objection. How much money are you going to lose in those 3 months by not doing this? If I told you that doing this would make you $10,000 to $20,000 more dollars every single month, and you tell me you'll be ready in 3 months, so you're telling me that you're willing to give up anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 over the next 3 months until you're ready. You're going to keep spinning this wheel, and I can show you the social proof. I can show you all of the return on investment stuff. I can provide all of this proof to you, right? You can't, because you can't just say that and not be true, right? But if I'm showing you this proof, you're okay with letting 90 days pass and leaving 30 to 60 grand on the table because you don't think you're ready yet. And people will be like, oh, well, I mean, when you put it that way, right?
This is the not ready excuse. Right. Yeah, this is where it pops up too. I need more time because I'm not ready. And it's if you can help people create that future vision, right? Well, how long have you been in this pain, right? Oh, a year, 2 years. Okay. Yeah. What's another 3 months, 6 months, or a year going to do for your readiness, right? Like, when are you going to realize that whether you make this decision now or later, staying in the pain and choose is something that you're choosing. Right. Like, you're actually deciding that over. You
gave me this list of complaints. I have a solution for it, but you're saying you're not ready to do it yet. So you want to stop? You want to keep living in this pain, right? And it's unfortunate, but you do have to pull that out of people. You do have to get them to see that you can help them create more time, if you will, right? Yes. And move to using your product as a way to be able to do that.
Right. That waiting isn't going to help them either improve their situation, because if they had the tools to improve it, they would have done it by now. Or waiting is actually going to just make the problem or the situation worse, right? So like, okay, you wait another year. I use relationships as examples because I'm a relationship coach, right? So like, you wait another year on your relationship, on your marriage. Like, where's your marriage going to be now? Like, where do you project that your marriage will be in a year from now, considering what you've already shared with me about where you are right now? Right? Your spouse is already talking about living separately, right? Or whatever it is that you know. Because you've already presumably had this conversation to understand where their pain is at, right? And what's actually going on in their life. So when like the types of enrollment and sales conversations that Coach Tribby and I are having, like, we recognize that we're going into like some really deep levels of vulnerability with prospects, but it happens to be because we're in coaching as a practice, right? So we're really getting deep into people's pain. But even if you're not selling coaching services, you are still trying to resolve somebody's problem, and that problem is still causing them frustration, and they still want a solution for it. Yeah. So even if it's like, my laptop's been acting up for the last 3 months, any day now it's going to crash, right? Like that's causing a sense of nervousness, anxiousness, and frustration inside of me, right? Like, is today the day that my laptop isn't going to turn on and I'm going to lose a bunch of shit, right? Like, so I want to be able to go to the store and talk to somebody knowledgeable that's going to ease that feeling inside of me.
Absolutely. And you know, you mentioned a key thing here as you work with relationships, right? And that's another objection, is that third party authority, right? Well, I need to go talk to my spouse, or I need to talk to my boss about this first, or I need to talk to my team about this. So how do you overcome that part, right?
So again, I recognize not everybody's selling coaching services, so you don't necessarily have the luxury of giving your prospect a questionnaire before you even have a conversation with them. But I do that, right? I have a pre-qualification questionnaire. Before I even get on the phone with them, I already know if they're in a relationship and how long that relationship's been and how they describe that relationship, right? I already know probably a lot more details than, you know, let's say even a mental health counselor who doesn't do this process, right? And is just like meeting with a person or a couple right off the bat and learning these things or asking these questions in the first session, right? So I already ask a series of questions to understand their pain and how motivated they are to resolve that issue, right? Which helps me tremendously in these enrollment conversations. And so when you're working with a person and you've gone through this whole conversation, you understand their pain and they get to the objection, well, I need to talk to my spouse or partner. For me personally, it depends, because I do coach individuals on relationships and I also coach couples. So if it's one person who's out of a couple, right, I might talk to the one person who approached me first before I talk to them together. Yeah. Right? That's just a benefit or a privilege I have by virtue of what I'm doing. Right? The other thing that you could do is, you know, if you talk to one person and they realize that they need to talk to the other, then you could start talking to them about, well, what does your partner value? Do you have different or opposing values on this topic or this issue, right? Like, has your partner expressed that they would not be open to coaching or counseling? Does your partner know that you're on this call with me today? Things like that, right? To see if they're working with a partner who has opposing values to the conversation you're in with them, or affirming values, and get an understanding. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it's different, right? I think if we let's talk about products for a minute. So let's say if we're selling a product and somebody says to me, oh, I got to talk to my wife about it first. I usually will come back and say, yeah, like, well, tell me about, you know, if this product is something that's going to help you achieve a certain goal, wouldn't your wife want you to have that? Wouldn't your wife want you to have and achieve that goal? You know, especially in healthcare. So if we're going to sell a product inside of a healthcare office, right? Hey, well, it's $45. Oh man, I got to talk to my wife about that. I'm like, well, tell me about that. And because if this $45 is going to help you get better faster, wouldn't your wife want you to get better faster? Well, yeah, of course she would. Okay, well then what are we doing? Like, here, sign for it. Here it is, $45. Let's go. Right? You have to ask for the sale. No matter what, if you overcome the objection, you then have to ask for the sale. So don't just overcome the objection and don't ask. Like, you have to ask, right? The other thing is sometimes I'll say, hey, look, I know that money is infinite. You can always make more. But what I also know to be true is that there's not a lot of people out there that have genuine love in their life. And I can tell you genuinely love your spouse, and your spouse probably genuinely loves you as well. Just like my spouse loves me, she would want me to have this thing. Right? And so people have no argument at that point. And it might sound cheesy to some of you, but you have to, how else are you going to overcome it? Okay, well, go talk to your wife and give me a call, let me know. No, or get them on the phone right now. Right? Do something that helps you get around that objection. Right? Or let's say you're a nonprofit. If you're a nonprofit and you get a phone call and somebody says, you're asking for $1,000 donation. They say, well, we do donate. We're regular donators to such and such cause, but I need to talk to my spouse about it first. I say, well, I hear you say you guys are regular donators. Is this a cause that you think your wife would also believe in or your spouse would also believe in? Well, yeah, I think so. Like, okay, so can we move then? You have to find ways to get the third party to agree without actually speaking to the third party.
Yeah. If you can't get them on the phone right then and there.
Right. Is it something that they believe in as much as you believe in? Yes. Okay, then let's do this. Is it something that they would want you to have so that you can feel this way? Yes. Okay, then let's do this.
Yeah, or is this a pain point or a problem that your spouse wants you to resolve?
Exactly. Because and then a lot of times we get the third party authority is about the money itself.
Yeah. So that other primary objection, no money. So how do you handle no money?
Yeah, so money to me is fun. And for you guys listening to this, money is never the objection. Cost is never the objection. It's the value or the perceived value for the money that people are paying. Okay, so the thing that most of us do is if we have a product or an offer and we give somebody, say, oh yeah, it's $1,000. People go, man, that's a bit much for me, right? The first inclination that we have is to go down. Okay, well, I have this other product that's $750. Does that one sound better for you? No, how about this one? This one's $500. And you keep discounting or watering down or trying to get people to buy something less when cost is not the problem.
That's when your mindset is, I just got to make a sale.
Right. Versus what is the value this person is looking for. And a lot of you are going to scratch your head when I tell you this. Don't go down in price. Go up. If $1,000 somebody scoffs at you, go up to $1,500 or $2,000 and talk about the value for the next package up. Talk about what it's going to do for them. Nobody cares about what you have until they know how much you care, right? So you have to show people that you have value based upon cost. It's never the price. Price is not the problem. Value for the perceived value for the cost is. Go up in your price and talk value. Stop watering down to try to make a sale.
Yeah, what I'll notice is that when people get to that point, they actually start going into features, right? This coaching package includes, 10 phone calls and every phone call is 60 minutes and it's this and you get this and you get a community of people don't care about features at that point. Right, they care about value. So if you try to handle that objection by going into features, they're not going to respond affirmatively to your attempt to overcome their objection. They're going to still come at you with a yeah, but, right? You need to go at that point in time into results. Nobody's buying your actual product or service. They want the results that they're going to get. The product or service is just the vehicle that's going to get them to the results, which is the relief of my pain point, right? Unless I'm like a super techie, which I'm not, I really don't care what laptop, right? There, what all the specs are of the laptop when I go buy one, right? I just want to be able to tell someone, this is what I need. This is how I'm going to use it. This is what I'm feeling about my current laptop. Yeah. Show me something within this price range that's going to resolve my issue, right? And then they're going to just show me 2 or 3 options, right? Not 20, 2 or 3 options for me to choose from.
It's like me at the tap house. I'm making 65 beers. I don't know what to do. Help me, please.
Right? The confused mind doesn't buy. Period.
It doesn't. If you confuse, you'll lose. That's a story brand for those of you who know Donald Miller. But if you confuse, you'll lose. But here's the other thing. Think about this. People aren't just buying, let's say I need to go to Home Depot and buy a drill bit, right? I have a project at home and I need a drill bit. I'm not buying the drill bit. I'm buying the hole that the drill bit makes. No, wait. I'm buying the hole that's going to be created to put the screw in to mount the shelf on the wall that's going to put pictures up of me and my family so that when I walk in the door every day from work after a stressful day, that's the first picture I see, and I love my family and I'm grateful that I have them. So I really bought the drill bit so I can feel grateful for my family when I get home from a stressful day at work. Exactly. I hope all of you listening see how I put that together. People don't go buy something because it's something. They go buy it for what it does and the value that it brings to them. And you need to practice delivering your value to the people you're selling your product and your service to. And again, the confidence comes with the competence. The competence comes from knowing your product and then taking the reps to build the confidence, right? You're going to get shot down 100 times, and it's fine. You learn and you move forward.
Yeah, I mean, part of the competence conversation is learning the sales skills and tactics, right? Non-manipulative, as we're coming from a heart-centered place in our sales. It's where you really want to come from if you don't want to, feel shitty about it, right? You're selling a high-quality, high-value product, and you're doing that from a heart-centered place, right? Which means like it doesn't feel like I'm backed up into a corner to buy your product or else, right? So that's what I'm talking about. That's the school of thought and the energy from which I approach sales, right? So when somebody gets really, really deep in their I don't have money objection, I do get to a place where I don't push it anymore, and I'm just like, okay, I understand, let's talk about how, if you really want to engage in coaching, right? Do you think I'm the right coach for you?
Yeah, I would say if somebody is still engaging with you, if you've gone through money, time, and third-party authority, and they're still engaging with you, they are interested. You just haven't uncovered the objection yet. Right. And usually, if it's me, like you want to create a joke here. In my personal experience, creating something funny here. Humor brings people together. Right? So think about all these TV commercials where you laugh and you go, oh my God, I should go buy the pizza. That was a funny commercial, right? Humor brings people together. There's certain brands you're never going to see humorous commercials from because they consider themselves, like you're never going to see Hermes or Coco Chanel put out a humorous commercial because they're considered to be high brands, right? They're luxury.
But they're creating a different feeling, right? I want to feel luxurious.
Exactly. But laughter brings community. It brings people together. Right. So if I can't get through and I'm not going to just shut down. I'm going to go, you know what? We've been through this and we've talked about these things. We're still in this conversation though. So if it's not these things, it must be me. Is it me? Tell me, is it me? Like, because if it's me, I can take it. A lot of times they'll laugh. They'll go, no, it's not you, man. Dan, you're cool. I like you. And I said, then what is it? If that's not the objection, let's get this deal done. Sign right here. Let's go. And then you have to flush the objection out. There are some people who are just not going to tell you because they don't want to hurt your feelings, right? But there's something there that's keeping them from purchasing, especially if they're still engaged in the conversation with you. If they don't give a shit, they're going to walk away and give you the thanks, not today, bye, right? They don't want to be bothered with you.
Right. Or like you haven't presented yourself in a way that has allowed them to really arrive at the place of knowing, right? I'm not saying thinking, knowing that you care about their problem and them, that you care about them, you care about their problem, you understand it, and that you can get them the results. Right. If they don't think that about you, that one of those might still be an underlying objection for them somewhere, right? And so in that case, like you if they express that to you, right, like just keep digging for as long as they allow you to, right? For as long as they're answering questions about what it is, right? Maybe it's something like, for me in particular, I qualify my clients. I don't necessarily want to work with everybody that I've ever done a consultation with, right? I've done consultations with people that I've actually told them, and I do still tell people, I don't think I'm the best coach for you. Here's why. Yeah. Right? And if I have a referral that makes sense for them and what the results that they're seeking, I'm happy to give them the referral. But I don't think that every single person is a match. And I would implore people who are out there as service providers and knowledge experts to consider that. Don't be so hungry and desperate for the sale that then you're closing clients just for the sake of closing clients, and you're taking on the wrong clients, and then you end up becoming really
the 80s used car salesman, cheesy, grimy type of sales individual.
You get pushy in your sales, and I don't mean like necessarily even verbally pushy, but that too. But you get energetically pushy, right? Because your mindset is, I need to close a sale. So who do you end up closing? Anyone and everyone that walks through your proverbial door, right? Who you get on the phone with. And then you end up working with people that you don't really want to work with, meaning like they're not your ideal client type. They don't really match your niche, and or you're not really the best expert for them, right? Like meaning you can't get them the results or the full results that they need or want, or their situation is more complex than what you have the either capability or competency to be able to be with, right? And so if you're taking on clients like that, for one, that's a mistake. For two, you're going to be non-enthusiastic and not happy every single time you see that client's name on your calendar.
And people will sniff that out, right?
People are going to feel that.
Yeah. So if you're for everyone, you're for no one. And I'll say that again. If you're for everyone, you're for no one. Know who you're for. That's your first step in your sales and confidence process. Followed by several of the things we've talked about in this episode. But I do want to know.
What you want to know?
I want to know what was an aha moment for you in your sales experience and building confidence. Like, how did those two come together for you one day when you went, got it?
So when I first started my coaching practice, I started off exclusively as a relationship coach for couples. I wasn't coaching with individuals one-on-one at that time. So like when I launched my programs, my website, my meetup group, just like all my copy everywhere was geared to couples, right? But I kept getting and I kept attracting singles, right? And so this, so there's multiple lessons here, but, energetically speaking, like my energy and my presentation as a coach wasn't, I'm a couples relationship coach, right? Nor did I have that in my personal experience. So that wasn't in my vibration. So I wasn't attracting that client. So what I'm saying, and it's a long way of saying, I was going after the wrong niche as a coach, right? I'm a heart-centered entrepreneur. I consider myself to be that, and I also consider myself to be in a purpose-driven business, right? So this is why those types of things show up, right? If you're in a purpose-driven business where your service is something you personally provide from your expertise, you're going to attract people based on what is in your vibrational field. So my initial instinct in building my business was like, I'm going to fucking just build power couples all over the world, right? And I'm going to show people how to do this. I'm going to show them how to be a power couple and how to like maintain successful relationships when you're building together, like when that's the intention, right? Like we're building a business, we're building a family, we're building a life, power couples. That wasn't in my vibration because I never had that, right? So I would have enrollment conversations with couples and I wasn't closing them, But then at the same time, I have all these singles showing up like, hey, do you do coaching for singles? Do you coach individuals, right? And so at some point in time, I just had to be like, whoa, okay, I'm not called, like I'm not being called to coach couples at this point in time in my life. I'm being called to coach individual peoples. And who ended up showing up predominantly for me were individuals who either were currently going through or had recently or previously gone through really bad breakups and divorces. And that was their lived experience that was causing their pain and problem, right? Guess what was in my vibration? A person who had that experience, right? So that's why these are the client prospects that are showing up for me, even when it's not anywhere in my sales copy. It's not on my website. You can't find it anywhere. So anyway, long story short, I actually ended up going back because think about how silly it is to be like, oh, no, I don't coach you. I coach these people who won't buy, right? Like, I'm going to keep pursuing these people who won't buy anything from me, right? At some point in time, right? Ding, you end up going, you know what? I got to change my niche and I have to redefine what I'm providing, how I'm providing it and who I'm providing it for and the problem that I'm solving for them. And I actually ended up going back and rebranding and redoing everything. Right? At that point in time, creating a new and different coaching packages so that I could coach the kind of people that were coming to me for coaching services, right? So I had something available to them. So I still do coach couples. Most of the time, interestingly enough, I actually coach both of them separately.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny.
So, they're married, but I'll talk to him and her separately.
Yeah. So, and what did that do for your confidence when you figured that out?
Yeah. I mean, it was a huge boost in my confidence. Like, I just had to surrender to that. Yeah. I had to accept that that's the thing, right? Like the way that I built it up in my mind and set my expectations, what happened in reality was a mismatch. That's all it was, right? It wasn't for me to look at and be like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure because I can't close these sales and I need sales training and all of that. I did go down that route for a little bit before I was like, you know what? I'm just trying to sell to the wrong group of people, and like getting that epiphany and actually taking action in that direction. When I say that I changed everything, that makes it seem like it was this big daunting process. Like, no, like I was enthusiastic and happy to change everything because I was becoming more in alignment with what I'm being called to do personally and spiritually, right? And how I'm being called to show up in the world and for whom. So yeah, it was a great learning experience. I just had to surrender to the idea that what I'm being called to do is different than what I'm doing, right? It's like, get on it. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. So for me, my biggest thing is I was a what you said earlier. I was a sale based upon the technical part of it, right? Sale based on features. Oh, well, we have this and this and this and this and this and this. I was that kind of salesperson, right? I wasn't the type of salesperson that answers the question correctly when somebody says, "Sell me this pen," right? Yeah. So, excuse me. So what I used to do was sell based upon features, and it got me nowhere because I didn't ask the question, well, what is it that you're looking for when you go to a physical therapy office? What is it that you're looking for in your medical treatment? What is it that you're looking for, whatever that answer would be? And then talking to people about how my service can fix or deliver upon their needs or what they're looking for. Right. And so when people call now and they say, hey, I'm looking for, I own a regenerative medicine center now. So, I've been reading about stem cell therapy online and I've been having this knee problem and I was calling to get some prices from you guys. And I go, oops, stop. Okay. We're not going to talk price. We're going to talk about why are you deciding to go this route? What is it about stem cell therapy that intrigues you? What have you been through already? Right? And I'm listening and I'm starting to tailor the conversation to talk about how what I give them is going to be valuable enough to take them down a story path, right? That goes from my life used to look like this. Now it's going to look like this because I bought this thing from this company, right? And so this is what I've started to do. I've started to take everybody down a story path of showing them what life could look like based upon our services, not just rifling off the features and the cost and everything else, okay? And by the way, if you're in healthcare and you're giving away prices on the phone and you're a cash-based practice, that's a bad thing. Right? Get people into your office because people who shop for healthcare services are usually not getting the BBD or the bigger, better deal, right? They're usually getting something that's watered down or done by somebody who's unqualified. So you want somebody in your office so you can talk to them, so they can see, right? Healthcare services are not tangible. Right? Your services, Oriana, are not tangible, right? We cannot look at them, touch them, see them, or smell them, feel them. We can't. They're intangible. So I have to create a feeling around how people are going to be when they get done using said service or said product, right? I can't just go try out a knee surgery, right? I can't just go try out being pregnant and see if I like it or not. It doesn't work like that. So what are you doing as a professional to show people value and take them along a story of what their life could look like if they do business with you? This is sales. This is service. Yeah.
For you, it's going to be like, what would it be like to be able to play with your grandchildren again without being in pain? Exactly. Exactly. For me, it would be like, what would it be like to be able to save your relationship from another divorce or something like that, right? Like, what would it be like for your children to be able to see their parents happy again? What would that mean for you? So you got to be able to create this future vision, right? This is why When people tell me that they're like shopping for coaches, right? I'm like, oh, that's good. Do as many consultations as you can. Right? Because I know, right, that, and I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, they end up coming back to me and hiring me because I wasn't attached to the sale, right? Number one. And number two, I didn't show up like needy, right? Like, this is why I'm the best coach for you. Don't talk to anybody else. Don't waste your time, right? I'm like, good luck with that.
I tell people, I'm like, yeah, do that. Go reach around, call. Tell me, how many people have you called already, and what have you found from them? They usually always go back to price. And I go, okay, so then we go back to the money objection.
Yeah, and showing value.
Right, and then you can always ask questions too. Like I can rabbit hole the sales thing all day. I know Vic, our podcast producer, standing over there going, wrap this shit up already. But you're just gonna have to deal with it, buddy. No, but the when people compare prices, I a lot of times will say, okay, well, tell me, what is it about them that you like? Not the price. What is it about them? Yeah. Oh, well, they do this. Okay, what else? Well, they do that. Okay, what else? And I just keep asking. And I let them go and go and go and go and go. And I go, okay, is that all? No, you got more? Okay, great. So tell me, if the price was the same on this side, who would you go with? And if they say me, I go, okay, well, why is that? And they start talking, why is that? Why is that? Why is that? Why is that? And then I turn around and say, okay, well, you just gave me a whole list of reasons why you'd rather buy from me, but price is stopping you? Come on, man. Like, let's go. Like, you're going to come here because of the value that I'm giving you. It has nothing to do with the cost, right? You're just nickel and diming me over something, but you would rather buy from me anyway.
Yeah, and you already have the confidence that I can get you the results that you want. So why are we even still? Baby,
like, let's sign, let's go here and here, let's get it, right? So these are, again, but it takes confidence to do this, and it takes patience to do it. And I really hope that this conversation has opened up, some new neuron pathways in your brain to have you think about how can I get more competent in what I'm doing to have the confidence to push my product or my service, right? So, yeah, and this is, again, the Edgy Entrepreneur. We thank you guys for showing up and listening today. We'll be back in another couple weeks with, I'm sure, something equally as enlightening. And Oriana, give them the spiel. What's coming down the pipe that they want to really pay attention to right now?
So many good things that we're so excited about. So first off, we meet on Clubhouse every Tuesday at 2:30. Eastern time. And in our Clubhouse conversations, we have a group of growth-minded, small business owners, entrepreneurs, wannabe small business owners and entrepreneurs joining us to have conversations and actually engage with us, ask us questions, get coaching from us. So if you are not already on Clubhouse, please contact us. We can send you an invitation, send us a message on Instagram, or if you are on Clubhouse, join the Edgy Entrepreneur Club. And that way you'll get notifications about what we're doing and when we host events. And those conversations actually help inform what we end up talking about here on the podcast, which is really nice because podcasts are a little one-sided, right? If you heard something here that you were like, oh, I want to know more about that, come to the Clubhouse and ask us yourself. The other thing that we have going on is that we have a new Edgy Entrepreneur group on Facebook. It's a public group, but you have to actually submit a little application to join. So we are getting together. A community is what we're doing. We're community building. This has been part of our ethos and our value system since the jump, right? When we started working together, was to build a community of growth-minded entrepreneurs, professionals, executives, small business owners who want to grow and learn together and support one another in the process. So if you're out there and you're a lone wolf and you're doing it by yourself, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to. So join the Edgy Entrepreneur group on Facebook so that you can get some support and also so that you can be the first to know about what we have going on. Obviously, we would love for you to subscribe to our podcast, listen every other week. We drop a new episode, share it, like it, comment, review it.
All the things.
Do all the things with it. And stay in touch with us because we love hearing from you.
Absolutely. Go to the edgyentrepreneur.podcast.com and email us at connect@edgyentrepreneur.podcast with any of your questions, desires, thoughts, any of those things. We want to hear them. So, and then next week, make sure you stick around because at the end of the next week's episode, we are going to talk about project growth. Growth. And for those of you who are interested in really taking yourself and your business to the next level, we are going to introduce that program to you.
You're giving away our secrets now.
I am. Hey, I got to entice people to keep coming back.
Yeah, we got some great stuff cooking for you. So please keep on coming back. And we're excited to launch Project Growth very soon.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you guys again soon. Take care.